Hello and welcome to Your Broken Galaxy. I am Broken, and today I'm answering the question, what if the Jedi were hippies, asked by Tuvok, 1971. So, Palpatine has been working through his utterly insane and complicated plan as ruler of the galaxy to take over the galaxy. He is setting up the Jedi to be the fall guys and to eliminate them all. Obi-Wan ends up finding the clones on Kamino and tracking Jango to Geonosis. He gets captured. Then Golden Boy Anakin, fresh off of his recent Tusken Raider aside, comes bumbling along into Geonosis with Padme. He goes on a fresh killing spree of the bugs and gets rightfully sentenced to execution. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme make their daring final stand against the horrifying monsters. Meanwhile, Yoda, Mace, and all the B and C tier council members are debating about what to do with the clone army, and Master Yoda is like, "Troubled I am by the sudden appearance of the clone army. Commission it we did not." And Mace says, "Agreed. I think that we should report their existence to the Senate, and then remove our affairs from Coruscant for the time being. We wouldn't want to get wrapped up in a war." So then the B tier, Kia D. Mundi, says, "We should maintain a small contingent here on the capital. You know, keep up appearances, and of course, make sure we can still have tours of the temple for all those school children." Then good old Oppo Rancisa says, "What about Master Obi-Wan?" And Fisto stands up, opens his mouth, and just as he's about to speak, gets cut off by Mace Windu, who says, "Oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. It isn't like he went in there lightsaber ablazing and zapped 20 or so of those bug people. If that happened, then they would have just cause to execute him and anyone that was with him." So back at Geonosis, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme are surrounded by 7 destroyer droids after having successfully gotten away from the monsters. But instead of the droids just sitting there not shooting the delinquents and allowing Mace Windu to walk painfully slowly into the arena and make a dramatic entrance, Dooku looks down and says to himself, the Jedi should be here by now. Master Sidious wanted the boy alive. Oh well, plans change. Then he says out loud to the droids, "What are you waiting for? Fire!" And they do. All 3 of the humans and the poor helpless reek that they were riding were just blasted into oblivion. The next day, Dooku gets on a Zoom chat with Palpatine and says, "I'm sorry, Master, but it appears that young Skywalker was defeated by lowly destroyer droids. I know you instructed me not to harm him, but I thought that because of his status as the Sithari and chosen one of the Jedi prophecy, that he wouldn't be defeated by something as trivial as droideka." And Palpatine says, "No, my plan to find a new apprentice is ruined." And Dooku says, "A new what?" And Palpatine says, "Never mind." And Dooku says, "No, you just said you wanted him as a new apprentice. Were you going to have him replace me?" And Palps has to think on his feet here, so he says, "DeMarcus, please. I was going to groom him for the next several years over the war so he could take over eventually. At the end of the war, you'll have to be temporarily imprisoned. In luxury, I'm sure." Yes, of course. "But once you are removed, you'll return to your homeworld, having saved the galaxy from corruption. But don't get me wrong, Count. You and I aren't spring chickens here. It isn't like we'll be kicking around 50 years from now. We need someone to take over." And Dooku says, "Yes, I suppose you're right. I'm sorry, Master. I really thought that he would be able to defeat those droids." And Palpatine says, "It's all right. I'm sure I'll find another suitable apprentice. When the time is right." Yes. The next day, Yoda calls his friends the Wookiees to help all the Jedi move their stuff off Coruscant, because the Wookiees have just the best trucks in the galaxy, and they split up into 6 separate groups. By this time, they have heard about Obi-Wan and Aunt Padme being taken out by Dooku and the bugs, so good old Bail Organa comes walking into the temple and finds Mace. Mace says, "Senator, good to see you. Are you here to help? We have free Palpatino's pizza for anyone that's helping out." And Bail says, "I'm sorry, but I'll send an aide to help. I just wanted to know what was going on. Senator Amidala was crucial for the anti-war movement." And May says, "Yeah, we Jedi have decided to stay out of it. Let us know if you need our help negotiating things, though." And Bail says, "I understand. I would stay out of it too if I could. So then the Jedi just all kind of leave, and Palpatine is sitting in his office thinking, all right, the Jedi have acted not at all in character with what I expected, so I'm going to have to call an audible on this one. He gives a call over to Kamino and says, hey, I'm Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine. The Jedi just told us about this surprise army that you've been cooking up. Can you have them delivered to Coruscant? And they do. Palps then calls Dooku back and says, Count, I need you to attack somewhere that's going to draw the Jedi into the war. And I know just the place. Kashyyyk. My spies at the temple say that the Wookiees are using their trucks to help the Jedi move. If we attack their homeworld now, while they are helping the Jedi, then they would be obligated to help the Wookiees to repay them for helping them move. And Dooku says, Ha! I always knew that Yoda's good relations to the Wookiees would only bring catastrophe to the Jedi Order. It'll be done immediately, Master. So Dooku flies a fleet of ships over to Kashyyyk and glasses the planet from orbit. It's so quick that it's over before the Wookiees that are helping the Jedi even have a chance to hear about it. And now suddenly the Wookiees that are with the Jedi find themselves as refugees. The Jedi devote themselves to helping protect the remaining Wooks from the CIS, but they do so by having the Wookiees join the Witness Protection Program and have all their identities changed. And this is a massive undertaking. Like, most of these Wookiees are going through unparalleled forms of plastic surgery and even like vocal cord reconstruction in order to appear as non-Wookiees, because the Jedi think that for some reason the CIS are just out to get all the Wookiees. But somehow it works out. Palpatine, on the other hand, is freaking angry. He calls up Dooku and says, Count, dude, what the heck? You need to invade the planet to draw the Wookiees home with the Jedi, not glass the thing into oblivion from orbit. And Dooku says, Master, you never said that. You just said to attack the planet. And Palpatine says, you know what? Anakin was strike one. Kashyyyk was strike two. You're walking on thin ice, bud. And Dooku responds, at least the war has started. And Palpatine says, yes, that is good news, I suppose. Carry on. So Dooku hangs up the phone and he says, you know, I think Master Sidious may be trying to betray me. If only Obi-Wan would have been rescued by the Jedi, since I point-blank told him that a Sith Lord was in control of the Senate, i.e. that Palpatine, the man in control of the Senate, is a Sith Lord. Why, if he would have been saved, then they would have been in a bit of turmoil as they take down Palpatine, but it would have necessarily required that the Republic deal with its corruption issues. Oh well, in for a penny, in for a pound. So the war rages like crazy for 3 years. The entire time, Palpatine is trying to get Dooku to do things that bring the Jedi into the war, but at every single point, the Jedi just circle up around bonfires singing Kumbaya and putting flowers in their hair. So Sidious has had enough and calls up Dooku and says, all right, Count, this is your last chance. Bring the Jedi into the war or else I'm going to electrify you into ash. And Dooku says, very well, Master. So the next day, Dooku has the Separatist fleet fly over to Naboo and specifically bomb Padme's ancestral home, which was inherited by someone who was fond of the Jedi and allowed one of the 6 Jedi groups to stay there. Unfortunately for good old Sheevy P, his ancestral home was immediately next door and was also destroyed by the attack. So finally, Yoda says, fellow masters, troubled I am by the attack on the Jedi on Naboo. And Plo says, now, Master Yoda, let's not be hasty. I'm sure that it was just collateral damage because of the proximities to Supreme Chancellor Palpatine's estate. And Yoda says, indeed, cooler heads will prevail. Enter this war we will not. So the next day, Palpatine, having seen that Dooku's final plan has failed and that his home has been destroyed, calls him up one last time and says, you freaking jerk! You bombed my house! I hate you! I'm sorry. That was unbecoming of a Sith Lord. Darth Tyrannus, you have failed me for the last time. I am going to end you now. Come to me on Coruscant. And Dooku says, At once, master. So he turns around to his assistant and says, Ready the fleet. And the assistant says, You're actually going to just go walking up to him so he can electrocute you? And Dooku says, No, don't be daft. I'm going to take the entire Separatist fleet, invade Coruscant, end Palpatine, and end this war. Every single Separatist ship in the fleet uses the secret hyperspace lanes that Palps had previously provided Dooku with to come out on top of Coruscant. They immediately blast all of the fleet defenses and drop a literal trillion battle droids onto the planet. Dooku, along with 20 Magna Guards, Grievous, 50 droidicas, Asajj Ventress, Cad Bane, who was specifically hired for the occasion, and Jango Fett, who was also hired for the occasion, and is of course still alive since Mace never got to him on Geonosis, all go for Palps. Dooku, Grievous, Bane, Jango, and Asajj come walking in the door, and the Red Guards are like, oh, it's on. But then the 20 Magna Guards just jump them. It's a tough-fought battle between the two guard units, but after 20 seconds, all that are left are two mostly destroyed Magna Guards. And the heroes of the CIS end up opening the door, and Sidious turns around and says, Count Dooku, I take it my Red Guard has been defeated then. I must say, you've come with a larger entourage than expected. So Dooku, Grievous, and Asajj all ignite their lightsabers, and Dooku says, In the name of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, you are under arrest, Chancellor. And Sid says, Are you threatening me? At which point, Jango and Bane both simultaneously shoot Palpatine right in the face. Jango, Cad, why did you do that? Dooku asks. I don't like messing around with Jedi. Too many tricks up their sleeve, Cad says. He's right. Better to just be done with it, Jango adds. He wasn't a Jedi. He was... You know what? It's fine, Dooku says. Let's just go. So the troop go out for a celebratory pizza party at their local Palpatinos, and the galaxy lives happily ever after. Well, okay, they don't live happily ever after. The Galactic Civil War cost the lives of untold billions and displaced trillions of people. There's disputes and trade wars for decades. And after about 40 years, the Yuuzhan Vong came and attacked. But the Jedi Order is there to meet them. Unfortunately, they sit out that war too, and the Vong end up basically taking over the entire galaxy. Everybody dies. The end. Well, that is my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you had ideas for me, please let me know in the comments below. Other than that, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that garbage.